I have a Milwaukee M18 12mAh lithium battery. It is a 5S3P battery. When I put this battery to the Milwaukee battery charger, it doesn't charge. This is because the banks of battery have unequal voltage. So what I need to do is charge it with this balance charger. So I made up a 5S balance cable. This balance cable uses 20 AWG wires. Is terminated at this end with a JST-XH female pin plug, and at this end, which will connect to contacts on the Milwaukee battery, I've terminated with insulated blade terminals. The specification for the JST-XH connector specifies a maximum of 22 AWG wire. Nevertheless, I have been able to upsize it to the 20 AWG wire. Join me in this video as I show you how I made this cable. This is my spool of 5 meter long 5 color 20 AWG cable. I'll start with the black cable. I want a generous length to run from this socket to different parts of the battery contacts, and I'll be generous. I will make it 800 millimeter long. This is my box of JST-XH 2.54mm pitch connector housing and pins. To know how much insulation to strip from this cable, I have here the very tiny JST-XH female pin. The length of insulation that has to be stripped is essentially just that much, very little. To strip that cable, I have here an iWiz FSA0626B wire stripper. It will strip from the smallest 30 AWG up to the bigger 20 AWG. So feed the cable through here. It's okay if I strip it too long because I can always cut off the excess length. There we are. Compare that again to the JST-XH pin. It is a little bit too long, so we'll snip off a bit. Check it again. Looks better. That's the length of the wire snipped. I have here an iWiz SN01BM. It will crimp wire sizes from AWG 28 to 24 up to bigger AWG 24 to 20. This wire is size AWG 20, so I will use this crimp die, which is this one here. This is a ratcheting crimper, and it will crimp in one action the two wings on the female pin. The wings are up here. On the underside there is a very small protrusion. Be careful not to squash that, otherwise the pin will not catch, because the tab is supposed to catch onto the cavities in here and keep it from retracting. Before I fit the female pin into the crimp die, I need to squeeze the two sets of wings so that they are parallel rather than spread out or squash inwards. To do that, I have the iWiz IWS2820. It is a non-ratcheting crimp tool. And the packaging comes with very clear instructions on how to use it. And here we have the instructions which show that usually the original shape of the wings on the pins is slightly open, but it needs to be squeezed inwards parallel. And if the die is too narrow, then the wings will be squashed inwards, whereas if the die size is just the right size, the wings will remain parallel, and if the die is too wide, the wings could open up too much. This non-ratcheting crimp tool can be used to crimp one pair of wings at one time, so two actions to crimp the two sets of wings. At the end of the jaw, there is a parallel flat edge. That edge is designed to squeeze wings together so that a user can make the wings parallel. I'll hold the pins so that the sets of wings are pointing up that way. That allows me to see it, as well as to use the jaw to flatten the pin to make the pins parallel. They are reasonably parallel. If I accidentally squeeze the wings in too close, I can use a mini screwdriver set with a flathead screwdriver and just pry the wings apart a bit more. I must say the tiny component is a challenge to the eyesight, but I think I've managed to get the wings in reasonable orientation. Before I feed this pin into the crimp die, I'll just check again the length of the wire to see if it's the correct length. It is still a little bit too long, maybe even like 2 millimeters too long, but the wings are okay, so I have to trim this a bit more. That is a very short length. Check again. Yes, the length is better. Put the pin into the crimp die so that both wings sit inside the die. Like that. Make sure that the pin head and the protruding tab are sitting outside of the die. Feed the wire into the wings. Crimp. I did it. This is my first time attempting to crimp JST XH connectors, so taking me a while to learn it, but it has crimped the two wings okay. Now I just need to break off this tab. I fold it. Be careful again not to break or bend the protrusion tab at the end of the head. The attachment bracket is broken off. I need a 6S female housing, so it will have 7 holes, and this is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 6S female housing will go in here, and the negative ground is on the leftmost pin out position, and these are the holes that the protrusion tabs will stick out to hold the pin in. Insert the female pin so that protruding tab is facing upwards and will catch this hole position. It's gone in. I do a pull test. It's not coming out. That's good. For the next color, I'll use a yellow. Check the length of the wire again. It's just a touch too long. Cut it. Make sure the wings are parallel. Insert the female pin into the crimp die. Ensure the two wings sit inside the die. There we are. Check that the head end is outside the die so that the protruding tab and the head are not squashed. The good thing about ratcheting sets is that once they ratchet to a position, they lock there, and I can release it. I can do something else and come back to it. That's good. Push the wire in completely, ensuring the insulation goes to the bigger wing, and then crimp. Check that the crimp is okay. The crimp is excellent. Wing is crimped to the wire and bigger wing is crimped to the insulation, and that protruding tab is still pointing out. That's good. Break off this bracket, folding it to break it off. That's it. I haven't bent anything. Now to insert the second cable into the housing. Again, the tab at the head end facing upwards where the hole positions are. Push it in all the way. Excellent. Do a pull test. It's not coming out. That's good. Next color, blue. I will save the red cable for the last positive cable. check that the length of the wire is just nice. It's a little bit too long, so I'll trim it. Again, squeeze the wing so that it's parallel. I find that the wire wings are okay. It's generally the insulation wing that is a little bit spread out. That's okay. Insert the female pin into the crimp die, ensuring the two wings are fully inserted within the die, and check that the head end is out, including that protrusion tab. Squeeze in a little bit, hold it there. Now push the cable in completely, making sure the insulation gets pushed to the big wings, and crimp. Yes, the wire is crimped and insulation is crimped as well, nicely. And the protruding tab is still bent outwards. That's good. Carefully break off this attachment bracket. Now insert the cable into the housing with the protruding tab facing up towards where the slot hole is. Do the pull test. It's not coming out. That's good. Check the wire for length. It is just a little bit too long, so I'll trim it. Insert the female pin into the crimp die. Ensure the two wings are sitting within the die and that the head is extended out so it's not squashed. Push the cable in completely and crimp. Check the crimp. Yes, it's good. Wire is crimped and insulation is crimped, and the tab at the head end is still sticking out. Break the attachment bracket gently by folding it. Align the protruding tab so it's facing up towards the slot and push it in. Do the pull test. It's good. That's ground, and 1, 2, 3. I need 2 more cables. I will repeat the yellow cable. Check the cut wire length, a bit too long. Trim it. That's okay. Now instead of using the SN01BM, which does the one stage crimp of the two wings, I will try using the IWS 2820M crimper to crimp the two wings in 2 stages. Using a vernier caliper to measure the width of the wings, I get a dimension of approximately 1.9 millimeters. So these wings are about 1.9 millimeters wide. That means I will use this die where the width is 1.90. I haven't used this crimp tool before, so I want to try it. First, insert the wing for the wire into the crimp die gently. Ensure again that the head is protruding out. Push the wire in completely. With the wire pushed in completely, I crimp the first wing. Check it. Yes, that's good. That's crimped. Now I crimp the second wing for the insulation. Still using the 1.9 millimeter wide die. Crimp it. Yes, it's crimped the insulation. That's good. Now to break off that bracket. I must say that I find it a lot more troublesome to use this two-stage crimper, whereas it's a lot easier to use this single-stage crimper. With the protruding tab at the head end facing up, I slot it in here facing up as well. Push it in to the housing, pull test, it's okay. The last cable is the red one for the positive. For this last connector, I'll go back to using the SN01BM because I find it so much easier and faster to crimp. Crimp. Check the crimp. Yes, looks good. Break off the bracket. Insert the red cable into the housing. Although this is a 6S housing, my battery is a 5S battery, so I just need to wire up to the 5S. Pull test. Yes, they're not coming out. That's good. So this is my 5S cable in a 6S female plug housing. I will now test circuit continuity for each of these 6 cables. To do that, I have a 6S male housing with pins. I will connect this to the female plug. And here I have a FLIR CM82 clamp meter. I've set it to the circuit continuity test mode. I will test each of the cables. Starting with the black. It beeps, so the black circuit is good. This first yellow cable is this one. Yes, circuit continuity. The blue cable. Yes, circuit continuity. The green cable. Yes, circuit continuity. The second yellow. Yes, circuit continuity. The last cable, the red. Yes, circuit continuity. So all 6 cables are good. This balance cable with the JST-XH female pins will connect to this on the balance charger. And this end of the cable, I will crimp to Narva male blade terminals. And these terminals can be used to plug into this and this, as well as to the remainder 5 battery contacts, such as here, here. So what I'll have to do is find a way to terminate these thin 20 AWG cables to these bigger terminals. And how I'll do this is I'll bend this bare wire over, push it into this ferrule terminal, and then push the ferrule terminal into this blade terminal and crimp it. So let's start. I managed to get the bare wire up to the tip of the ferrule crimp terminal. Pull it back a little bit. I have my bootlace ferrule crimper. The brand is LSD. The model is LSC 8-6-4. Crimp. So it's crimped. Do a pull test. Not going to come out. Get this blade terminal. Push this ferrule crimp terminal in fully. I can see appear at the end. This is my non-insulated terminal crimper. Yellow to mix the yellow. Just a point to note, the plastic has to sit fully between the ends, flush here and flush there. It must not sit where it's not flush to the end. The reason is, if I look closely at the teeth for these 3 dies, this will emboss 1 dot, this will emboss 2 dots, and this will emboss 3 dots to signify which crimp die was used to crimp the non-insulated terminal. With the flat top face of the blade facing up, I insert the terminal into the yellow die. As I said, flush at this side and flush at that side so that it will emboss the dots on the insulation. Push the ferrule crimp terminal in fully and crimp down. It is tight. I don't want to bend this blade terminal, so I'll just get a flathead screwdriver and push this out. There we are. Do the pull test. It's not going anywhere. That's good. And this will then be able to slot into that. Now to crimp the remaining cables. The bare wire is at the edge. Before I forget, you can see the 3 dots embossed onto the edge of the insulation. Alright, the last cable is nearly done. Now to crimp it. The last blade terminal to crimp. That's it. Pull test. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that I have both ends of the cables terminated, it is time to do another circuit continuity test. So plug in the male JST XH connector. Put my multimeter on circuit continuity test mode. Check the black cable first. Yes, circuit continuity. Check the first yellow cable. Yes, circuit continuity. Check the blue cable. Yes, circuit continuity. Check the green cable. Yes, circuit continuity. Check the second yellow cable. Yes, circuit continuity. Check the red cable. Yes, circuit continuity. So good, I have a set of working 5S balance cables. I can connect the balance charger to the battery. This is the first time I've made a JST XH balance cable. I've learned a fair bit about the JST XH connector, and I also learned a bit about the crimp tools for open barrel terminals. I've enjoyed very much using this iWiz SN01BM single stage crimper for 2-winged open barrels. I like this iWiz FSA0626B wire stripper. I don't quite like this iWiz IWS2820M non-ratcheting crimper. It just takes a lot longer and it's a lot more troublesome to get right. And because the tool is non-ratcheting, it's also more troublesome. But I bought this tool just in case there are sizes of open barrel terminals that I don't have the right ratcheting single stage crimper tool. In the next video I will create, I will power up this toolkit RC M6DAC balance charger and connect the balance cables to this Milwaukee M18 12mAh battery, and I'll carry out a balance charging to restore the faulty banks of cells in this battery. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful and interesting. Do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more and help the channel grow. Thank you so much.